Now, so you went from Air Force to Penn, or you went from Penn to Air Force?
Air Force to Penn.
Okay. Now, what caused you to leave Division I wrestling? Was it your choice or was it somebody else's choice?
It was my choice.
Okay.
It's just I knew that's not what I wanted to do.
Okay.
There's a couple of reasons. One, the most important one was I always wanted to come back to Vegas. I love Las Vegas. I'm from here. I missed my family. My parents were getting older. It was just time, right?
Yeah.
I had been away for 15 years. I'd taken care of my dreams. Now it's kind of time to come back and finish this other dream that I had of starting Gold Rush and establishing a life somewhere and putting some roots down. And my parents, I hope they have a long time to live. You never know, but I get to be here for the end of their, the last years of their lives, however long that ends up being.
Right.
Two, on the coaching side, I didn't want to build someone else's brand. I wanted to build my own brand. I wanted to make my own name. And in college wrestling, there's a lot of red tape and things you got to deal with. And you still got to do a lot of things. I mean, being a business owner is a whole other realm. There's a lot of things I learned in college coaching that prepared me for this, because college coaching is 95% back work, paperwork, administrative meetings, 5% is coaching. And the last thing is just the recruiting. I absolutely was not a fan of starting my day at 6 a.m. because you wrestle in college, but you never think about it like this. You go to your lift in the morning, you go to classes, go eat, go to practice, and that's pretty much it for you, right?
Yeah.
Like, as a college coach, you have that. Some coaches have to be there in the morning. That was our standard. We had someone had to be there in the morning. Usually get done 7 a.m., 7:30. Then you go do some office work. You usually have some kind of meeting in the morning, 1 to 2 meetings in the morning. Then you go for lunch, and you come back. You're going to finish up a little bit of administrative work, whatever you have on your task list for the day. You may have a one-on-one meeting. You may need to meet with an athlete, whatever it might be. And you have practice at 2:15. 3:00, whatever, you get through practice. Sometimes athletes need to stay after. They want to talk to you. They want to work on technique. They got to weight manage, whatever it might be. Mm-hmm. Then you go home. It's 5:30 that time, 6:00. You want to eat dinner. You want to whatever. But then you got to start making recruiting calls. And you're making recruiting calls. You're contacting 30, 40 athletes a week, depending on what your load is. Right. So by the time you get out of the day, it's 8:30, 9:00, so it's just not something that I really wanted to do and had a passion for. I love coaching, but the college world wasn't for me.
It just wasn't. It was too much. It was too much for the job. Have you seen like some of because I'm sure I knowing you as a person, I know that you probably had nothing to do with it, and you don't have to disparage it if it's another team that you've seen. But I've heard stories and seen like situations with recruiting that are kind of, let's just say, frowned upon. Have you seen some of that stuff? I don't want to give like too much example, but
so the recruiting world, there's a lot of what you would call, there's black and white things, and there's a lot of gray area and a lot of loopholes. And depends how you want to be with it. Do you want to be the guy that takes advantage of the loopholes, and people do. People do. And there's some people that try to play it straight by the books.
Right.
It's really difficult to play everything exactly by the books. I think everybody in some manner or another does try to find loopholes or ways around, or if it's not the coach doing it, it's the athletic director.
Right.
That's kind of part of it. This NIL deal right now and the transfer portal has made wrestling an absolute, the wild, wild west.
Is it good or bad? Is it bad now? Could be good later, but it's just still Wild West, or?
It's pay to play right now in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I think it's benefited some schools. It's hurt others. I'm old school, and I like the way it used to be, but there is an evolution. There is it's progressive, right? Mm-hmm. Kids are getting paid now. They're getting paid for their likeness. I understand it. It's not my favorite thing, but as I try to dive more into some of those things, i.e. transfer portal, i.e. NIL, it does make a lot of sense. But I mean, think about this. You have college kids that are making more money than their support staff, right? You have college kids that are making more money than their athletic trainers, more money than probably some of their coaches.
Yeah.
it's a wild game. So it's changed the game for good or for bad. I don't know. I'd have to dive in more, but I think you're starting to see, at least for me being a wrestling guy, you're starting to see wrestling grow and grow and grow.
Yeah.
Right? It is getting bigger. There is more money in wrestling that there ever has been. I mean, private clubs like what we have right now with Gold Rush. I mean, you have multiple of these around the country, but it seems like every week someone's popping up a new club in a different state, different city that's good. Not just running a mom and or excuse me, no offense to dads, but like in the past, there was a bunch of dads who got together and were running wrestling practices.
It's like a soccer team. They
trying to figure it out.
Maybe never did it or what. Yeah.
And they're doing their best, right? And that's no knock. But now you have coaches, professional coaches who are professional athletes going into this world, and the club game and that world blown up.
Yeah.
Right.